Who will be the 49ers comeback player? So to me, when we're talking in most improved, we're talking guys like Ross Dwelly, Dre Greenlaw, guys who are going from either backup or role player to star, something like that, taking a big
Well,
leap.
if I want to
Comeback
give
player
you
is a guy who's been good, maybe
right,
fallen off, coming back. So I would say Eric Armstead would be a candidate. Mike McGlinchey would be a candidate.
yeah.
Yes. Jimmy
So
Garoppolo would be a
Jimmy
candidate.
Garoppolo would be a
Yeah.
candidate.
Yeah.
But the guy I'm going to go with, and I kind of want more of the way that the NFL goes with this route because I like the way you're thinking about it. I think we're going to take two different angles, but I'm excited because I went with Debo. If we're talking about guys coming back from injury this year, I think Nick Bosa is the player people think of immediately, right? But when I think of Debo and the role he's going to have in this offense, I mean, there were only 4 games last season. I was looking this up where it was Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle on the field at the same time. It's weeks like 4 through 7. So when Debo is going to be on the field with those two guys, if they're all on the field together, it's just going to make so many more matchup problems for this offense and specifically for Debo because Ayuk is going to be able to dominate down the field outside the numbers. Kittle's going to be doing his thing, of course, but now that they're creating all that pressure towards those guys and the defense has to consider those guys so much, I think it'll create defensive matchup problems for Debo to where their third best defender will be on him or a defender they don't want will be on him. And I think with all the movement that Kyle Shanahan does and with how he loves to deploy Debo, man, I just get really excited about his role in this offense, especially with the Trey offense. I know people have talked about how much he succeeds with Jimmy, but I think because of all the opportunity that's going to be created for those other guys, I think Debo is going to be a really big beneficiary of all that opportunity. And specifically, even last year, we talked about this on my stream a few weeks ago. There are all kinds of guys who had targets who aren't even on this team this year. Jordan Reed is an example. Jeff Wilson won't be available at the beginning of the year. Jerick McKinnon won't be available isn't on the team anymore. So the 49ers are going to have to find some way to get those targets to some of their players. So I think Debo and Ayuk are the prime candidates for those positions.
Good case. I admire your confidence in Debo Samuel's durability. I'm not there yet. I'm not going to pick any player who has had injury issues. So
Bosa, and that's kind of where I was trying to go with this, So
I respect it. I'm not saying I'm right and you're wrong. I'm just saying I'm being conservative here. I'm just making a line.
I think if you're going about the award the way you're going about it, I'll be really interested to hear who you're going to say. But I think if we're considering the injury guys, I think Debo's probably the best candidate of all the injury guys to have that comeback player of the year type of thing.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just trying to explain where I'm coming from and why I'm not going to say Debo. I'm not going to say Nick Bosa, even though it could be. It very well could be Debo or Bosa. I'm not going to say Kittle.
Really interesting is like Nick Bosa is listed as the 5th best player for comeback player of the year odds. So there's certainly a lot of people who believe in him in that aspect.
Okay, not me. I think Nick Bosa is. I think his knees are not nearly as strong as his legs. I think his legs are super duper strong, and tendons inside, I'm not sure. Also, he is very reckless. Half the plays when he's rushing the quarterback, he ends up diving on the ground. It's admirable, but there's a lot of 300-pound people that could fall on you. He got rolled up on last year, not because he was diving, but no. I'm not going to say Bosa. I'm not going to say Debo. I'm not going to say Jimmy. I'm going to say someone who basically stays healthy most of the time and had a really bad year last year. I'm going to say Mike McGlinchey.
Okay.
I'm going to say Mike McGlinchey. Now, come back. I'm not saying he's going to blossom into a top flight right tackle, but I think he can regain what he was the first 2 years of his career, maybe even improve on that. Last year, he just came out and admitted basically what we saw, that he was not strong enough. He was underweight. And he says he's up to 320. He's really emphasized strength this year. Good.
And like you specifically talked about, Grant, and I know you can talk more about this, is he seemed to struggle like all players did last season with the constant moving from Arizona to California, right? Being in a hotel room all the time. I mean, I'm sure it took a toll on all of these guys, but McGlinchey specifically spoke up on that issue.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's had a better offseason. He weighs what he needs to weigh. He's as strong as he should be. He hasn't gotten hurt. He doesn't have he's gotten hurt once, but he really doesn't. He's usually available. And
pretty durable.
This year, we know he's not great in pass protection, but at 320 pounds, if he's strong, he should be a real asset in the run game, which is what they want the emphasis of the offense to be. And when it's time to pass the ball, it couldn't hurt that he finally has a quarterback who can protect himself. It doesn't mean that his pass protection is going to improve, but maybe he'll just give up less sacks. he could be the comeback player of the year.
And he could be up for a contract extension this next offseason. So this could certainly be a situation.
He's in a contract year, is he not?
I believe he has the 5th year option. So that'll be after this year.
True.
But I think the 49ers could have the opportunity to extend him the offseason. But Grant,
if he doesn't play better this year, though, there's no guarantee they pick up that 5th year. Have they picked it up?
Well, so that's the thing. You have to pick it up 2 years ahead of time.
Well.
So they've already picked it up. Like when you reported
I'm still picking
earlier this offseason, right?
Yeah.
Well, and the only thing I do want to mention with the 5th year option, and this is something I found interesting, which I didn't discover until like last week. When they pay those guys the 5th year option, it's the top 10 average of the highest paid at the position. So you're going to be paying that guy a lot of money. So with Mike McGlinchey, he's going to have to emphasize that he's worth that kind of money for next year, right? So for all those reasons, and because of his play last season, because people constantly making fun of him online, he's got to be more motivated than anyone to have a great season on this team.
That's right. That's right. Mike, I'm picking you. I'm picking you to be the comeback player of the year, and I mean it sincerely. I think last year was a perfect storm of bad things for you. He seemed sincere. Like, it was very hard when the pandemic hit to find a place to work out, to find a place to get food. Some people did better than others. That was always going to be an issue. Like, all of a sudden, all these NFL players have to set up their own home gyms. George Kittle did a good job, although he broke his foot. So who knows? Maybe, I mean, all these people had to basically work out without supervision. It didn't work out for some people. Now, Mike has been there. He's been under supervision. He's weighing when he needs to weigh. He's always going to have his strengths and weaknesses, but I think he could be the comeback player of the year. And if he is, the Niners could have a real good offensive line. So, Mike,
certainly return to form this season. I think that's the thing. He doesn't have to be one of the best 10 offensive linemen in the league. He just has to be close to what he was in 2019 to justify that 5th year option for this team.
That's right. And that's our show. We're up against an hour. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Ben, fabulous debut. Fabulous debut column. If you don't follow Ben on Twitter, do that. If you don't subscribe to his YouTube channel, do that. If you don't read all 49ers SI, do that.
Do that.
You're missing out. Do that.